have Dr. Mukesh Mohania ji again with us for the second session. Over to you, sir.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir. Your screen is perfectly.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So welcome back, guys. Great to see you again this afternoon. Hope you had a very exciting kickoff of the event. Okay, so what I'm going to go through in next an hour or so to give you a glimpse of the couple of applications, blockchain applications we have built or have been building. And some of this work has been presented in the top blockchain conference, like IEEE blockchain conference and the CIKM, which is the top information retrieval and knowledge management conference. We basically presented this work from, as I said, from a database perspective. A blockchain, nothing is a database, right? Data is stored. So by now, I'm pretty sure you know what is a blockchain, and more importantly, which is the right use case for using this technology. As I said, there has been a very big hype about the blockchain. Somebody can say, hey, why don't we basically use the blockchain for this technology or that, sorry, this application or that application, where those applications already exist and they have been developed over a database or distributed databases, right? So what I'm going to discuss couple of applications. One is in the education, which is very close to my heart, and we have been building this application, and how this solves some of the new education policy initiatives that this government has taken, right? Okay, so okay. So I'm going to take these two applications which are highlighted, microinsurance and decentralized education. First, I will take the decentralized education. If time permits, I'll go to the digital identity and other things. Okay. So this is a system, decentralized education systems called DESI, right? And this is what we have been building in IIIT Delhi, and socializing with the Minister of Education, with the with the uh, with the Secretary of UGC Chairman and other people, right? We are socializing with them. So let me first take you why we are building this DESI system and what is this and what are the current gaps of the our education systems that we all are there, right? So this project is trying to address some of the problems that have been addressed in the new education policy. And particularly is second and third here, that how we can provide a platform where the students' interest can align very well basically what is going on in the marketplace and give the option to that student to exit after a year or two, depending on the course requirements that the student has completed related to that host institute, and more importantly, how to impart the quality education. Right? So this whole DESI project is about getting the quality education in a consortium of institutes. Right? And another important problem that has been that new education policy is trying to address is hey, let students basically build a credit bank for mobility of the students within inter and intra university systems, and therefore build the credit bank of bank of what they have done, and use that credit bank basically to recognize the students what he has done, and therefore award the degree. So these are the two things that, just keep that in mind, and we are trying to address two plus lot more. Okay. So what is the current education system? In the current education system, it's very simple, right? A kid kindergarten goes to the kindergarten, goes to basically primary education, and then high school. And even from the primary school and high school, you can refer basically the content, learning content from the third party, like Khan Academy or any massive online open on massive open online courses like NPTEL or SWAM and all that, right? And you go through basically from kindergarten to all the way to the university to the employment. And if you look at this system, current education systems, the typically this current education system does not provide a link to the industry. And this current education system is highly centralized. What does that mean? That means basically that once you have taken the admission to that particular institute, you are bound to remain in that institute till you complete your degree, right? So it's a 0 and 1. Either you take a degree by completing all the courses prescribed for that degree within that institute, or you have no other options to leave, right? So that is a big drawback. And this basically, you know, is causing the problem of students getting the disinterest in particular subjects or particular course, and therefore basically they cannot go, and therefore they basically lose the lifetime opportunity. Okay, so let's look at the every aspect of the current system. What are the gaps and the issues, right? So the first big is, is a lack of equal opportunity. What does that mean? That means basically there is a certain class of students who can afford the coaching, right? Where they are trained very monotonously way to prepare for, JE exams, right? Mostly basically the students who crack the JE, they come from these coaching centers. And we know that the roughly like in JE, roughly, what, 15 million? Not 15, 1.5 million, I think, people, they appear, right? 1.5 or 1.3 million, and they select only 1% students go to the top engineering and management institutes, right? But if any students whose mind basically on that examination center on that particular day of exam was not good because of he could not sleep, or because of the anxiety, or because of the nervousness, or because something happened in the family, right? Even though that student is very bright, he misses the opportunity, right? So it is basically it's a lack of equal opportunity. That is a one big gap. The other is there is a lack of skills resources. That means that many of the institutes in India, they are not able to produce the quality graduates. And the reason is very simple. There are two or three reasons. The biggest reason is that the quality teachers are not there, right, in those institutes. And that is why the NASCOM and other reports, some of you might have seen, they say that in India, only 7 to 15% graduates are employable in software industry, and which is really a very worrying figure. We are producing 100 graduates in computer science, but only 15 of them are employable, which is really a worrying figure, right? And many institutes do not cover or teach all the prescribed topics or subjects during this degree program. And probably either teachers may not be aware about that or students may not be interested, but there is no, motivation for the students for the sake of they just wants to hang around there. So there's a lack of skills resources. We are not able to produce the quality graduates and in our current system. The third is there's a lack of uniform curriculum and quality labs. And many institutes, they follow their own curriculum. They follow the Baba Adams Jamane ka, syllabus, because faculties do not want to change, right? They don't want to adapt themselves in the current requirements of the industry. And this is also a big problem, right? And the other is basically that some of the institutes, or many of them, or maybe all of them, might have basically great labs, but the utilization of these labs is roughly 15% in a year, which is also basically we're wasting our resources, right? We have full resources, but only 15% of the labs are utilized, right? And we know that for the full year, half of the time of the year, the semester is off, right? Each week of 13 weeks, and then students comes only once in or twice in a week to do the labs, and rest of the time labs are just sitting ideally, right? Are not doing anything. The last is there is a lack of digitization. And since there is a lack of digitalization, that means the people are forging, right, or fudging their degree. And without naming anyone, there were a couple of CEOs. They got fired from their multi-billion-dollar company because they fudged that they did XYZ degree from so and so university, right? And there was no way to basically prove that. And people write lots of things in the resume that they have done this or that or that degree or that course from this or there. There's no way basically we can verify those things, right? So now what is our proposal? How this NEP, New Education Policy, solves this problem? And I personally believe, I strongly believe that blockchain will be a great enabler to implement some of the NEP things, right? And let's basically discuss that. So what is our proposal? Before I basically describe the proposal, let me take the analogy, right? The analogy is that your mom or someone at the home, they want to make a great pizza. Okay, so the objective is here is that the family member wants to make a great pizza, very tasty pizza. Okay, now analogy to learning is the student objective is to get a bachelor degree from the top place, right? From the top quality students on that, from the top place, right? So great pizza, tasty pizza, great quality degree. Okay, analogy. Now, in order to complete the degree, the student has to do a certain number of courses, certain number of subjects, and the certain number of labs, right? That is the requirements. And getting a degree means what? Clearing a set of exams, nothing else, right? As long as basically you do these 20 or 30 or 40 courses, whatever the prescribed courses for that degree in 4 years or 3 years, as long as you clear all of them, right? And you will be awarded the degree. Similarly here, if you want to make a great pizza, we need to have a great ingredients, and we should also know how to make it, that great pizza, right? So now, to make a great pizza, the family member goes to the YouTube or thing. She has never made the pizza before. She goes basically, learns basically what are the things that are required in that, and then the how to make it. But some of the family members, they have their own dietary constraints. That is, some of them may be having a high cholesterol, right? Therefore, basically, they request that we want uh, very little cheese, but more olives. Or somebody wise basically might have basically some other dietary problem, right? So then there are constraints. There are constraints budget also, because we don't want to spend money, right? So we want to make a quality pizza within a 200 rupees for the whole family members, right? Whatever the constraints are there, right? So these are my inputs. Okay, same analogy, that my objective is to get a quality degree, BTech, let's say BTech in data science. The ingredients is to complete the BTech in data science. We need to do these 30 courses in 4 years plus 10 labs in 4 years. Okay. And then I have a constraints that I want to do these courses offering only in Jaipur, because I cannot leave the Jaipur because of my parents or whatever the reasons, right? So those are the constraints, right? So now what that family member will do to make a great pizza? Go to the supermarket to buy those ingredients. Now, when she goes to the supermarket and to buy, let's say, a particular ingredients, let's say olive oil, she sees that there are many varieties of olive oils. There are different suppliers, there are different companies who are selling the olive oils. Or she goes to basically look at the pizza sauce. There are different 10 kinds of pizza sauce are there, and that varies basically from price of 30 rupees to, let's say, 170 rupees. Now, which one she needs to choose depending on the constraints. So this is an optimization problem, that she needs to buy these 10 ingredients in such a way that all these 10 ingredients basically fit in that constraints, right? So here, the family member picks up those ingredients and put it in the cart. The question here is that when she sees 10 different kind of pizza sauce, she will pick up the one that falls in that within the constraints. So similarly, think in that way, and this is a decentralized one. Think in that way that a student wants to get a BTech in data science, a quality degree. In that consortium, there are 10 different institutes. So let's say in Delhi, we have a IIT Delhi, we have a Triple IT Delhi, we have a Delhi University, we have a JNU, we have a Indraprasth one, we have a GB Pant University, we have variety of ones, right? So what basically the student, to make that, a student will pick up a course from these 10, and I will come to that. I'm just giving you a very high level, not the exact way what I'm telling you. But the idea basically here is, let a student pick up let's say he wants to do a database management system. And now database management system is running in the 5 different colleges out of these 10. So that these students will pick up the database management system from that institute that suits to him or her. That means he may say, hey, this is very close to my home. Oh, okay. Or he may choose basically that, hey, he's the best teacher in the database one, therefore I should go. or he may choose basically that this is the best institute, right, that course is offering. Or he may choose basically that the course fee for taking the database systems from this institute is roughly 20% cheaper than taking the course from another institute within that one. Whatever the constraints are there, he will basically pick up that. Okay, then she goes there, she picks up the things right in the trolley, goes home and start making the pizza. When she starts making the pizza, right, and recipe is there, right, she, there are two options. Either she is able to make perfect pizza like bottom one, or she is basically messed up somewhere and end up basically making another pizza, right, the other ones. Similarly here, the students basically students takes the course from this consortium and pick up these ones, and if that student qualifies the criteria of a particular institute, then let's say he qualifies all the criteria of IIT Delhi, right, where IIT Delhi says out of those 40 courses or 30 courses and 10 labs, you have to do 20 courses from my place or from my partner. 10 you can do from anywhere, but we will take the exam, which I will describe you next, right? So that when the students does that, that means basically takes the degree from IIT, makes the best degree, right? That's what the analogy is. So now, right, and then basically just go and you serve that on that, okay? So now let me take basically that how the proposed model is, okay? So the proposed model is, and please try to understand that, okay? So first is to build a consortium. So we build a consortium in IIT in Delhi, and we say, okay, in Delhi, these are the, let's say, 10 institutes: IIT Delhi, JNU, IIIT, Delhi University, Indraprastha, Noida Institute of Technology, whatever, right? There's a consortium. And this consortium decides, let's offer a BTech degree in data science. They collectively decides, okay? And then they also decide that any students who completes the degree or who completes the number of courses and labs, right? How many courses and labs are required to complete a degree? That is the course requirements or degree requirements, right? So this consortium say that in order to get the degree in BTech and data science, the students should do 152 credits. That means, I'm just right example I'm giving you, that means the students should finish 30 courses and 10 labs. This is what the consortium decides, and they decide the course curriculum also. That in course 1, these are the ones, course 2, these are the ones. There is a very prescribed, there is a very basically very well defined course curriculum for bachelor in data science. Okay, this is what the consortium decides. That's the job of the consortium. The consortium then, right, this is what the create the course. Okay, the third part is the most important. That each institute in each institute in that consortium has its own autonomy, and they don't want to dilute the autonomy. IIT Delhi would not dilute their brand, their quality. So each institute in that consortium decides how they would like to take the students. That is, they decide the admission criteria. Then they decide the evaluation criteria. Okay, and I'll come to that evaluation. They decide the assessment criteria. They decide how a student can get the degree. Okay, how a student can transfer the credits to other institute and so on. So all the evaluation and credit transfer criteria, they all are defined in the institute. An institute also decides that who are my partners. So for example, IIT Delhi can decide that all the courses related to the humanities can be completed from the JNU, and we will recognize the JNU. IIIT Delhi can decide all the science related subjects, maths 1, maths 4, or science, whatever there in that one, they can be done from the JNU, from the Delhi University, and we will recognize them. Okay, that means that they define a smart contract between the institute. That means that, okay, IIIT Delhi and Delhi University defines an agreement that we will recognize your maths 1, maths 2, or maths 4. We will recognize your calculus, your differential equations, and probability theory courses for our students. Right? So that is one. Now, each institute also decides, and this is the most important point. So the consortium has decided that to get a degree BTech in data science, students should do 30 courses, 10 labs at that level. But each institute decides their own local criteria. So IIT Delhi says that out of 30 courses, you have to complete 20 courses from IIT Delhi. And out of these 20, these are the 12 you have to do from here. You cannot go outside. Then say you can do 6 courses, any of these 6 courses from my channel partners in that consortium. Not all the members of the consortium may be the channel partners. They can say you can do 6 courses, let's say from JNU, from IIIT Delhi, from Delhi University, and we will recognize. But these 6 courses should follow in these categories, and we will recognize them. Right? Then IIT Delhi also says the remaining 4 courses you can do from anywhere from my channel partners, from Noida Institute of Technology, from G.B. Pant University, or from anywhere, or even from outside, Coursera or Edacity or whatever, right there. But you tell us that you have done, and we will evaluate you, we will assess you, and if you pass that exam, then we will consider your grade, else we will not consider. Right? So then what the student is, right? So that's what they define that. Okay. So far now, the student comes in. A student comes and enroll in the institute, right? And that institute becomes the host institute. So what basically we have developed a portal where the students goes, upload the documents, and then each institute has their own admission criteria. We compare the admission criteria with the student's credentials, and then we say you are eligible for Institute A, C, and D. That student chooses that institute. When he chooses that institute, agree on the terms and conditions, submit, That means a contract is signed between the institute and the student. Okay, so there are two kind of contracts. One, contract between the institute to institute, that who can basically can do what transfer can be done and we will recognize you, blah blah blah. And other is between the institute and the student. Okay, so now student has taken the admission in IIT Delhi and he starts doing the course. Now at some point of time he's saying that I'm not getting along with this, I'm not either liking or it's very difficult, and I want to transfer. I want to transfer from IIT Delhi to IIIT Delhi. Right? So we have provided a service, or we are building a service indeed. Right? And when he choose that transfer, my enrollment, then it will recommend that, hey, as per as what you have done so far and your basic credentials, you are eligible to transfer to institute B, D, and F. Okay, you can transfer that. And this guy basically says, okay, I want to transfer to B. So then he basically choose B, agree the terms and conditions, and then submit. That means a new smart contract is created between the new host institute and the institute, and all the credits basically that guy has done previously will be transferred over here. Or he may decide, I want to say bye-bye to IIT Delhi, I want to exit from this. Then he said, give me the exit options. The service basically will say that, okay, you are entitled for, if you exit now, you are entitled for getting a certificate in data science. But if you do these two more courses from institute or whatever the requirement, then you are eligible, then you can get the diploma in computer, in data science. Right? So he has both options, to exit or recommend to complete something or to transfer that. And in that transfer, you are building a credit bank over there. And once this guy has done, satisfied all the requirements of that institute, then the degree is awarded. So in nutshell, the student is picking the courses that are best offered by the partner institute. So this student is not confined to do all the courses from the host institute. That guy is flexible to go. If database systems is taught by the best teacher in IIIT Delhi, he will just do and take the course from here. If basically the financial engineering is taught in other institute, he will just go and take that subject from there, right? And this is what is about the Desi skill chain. So now let me correlate what is the blockchain here. So blockchain here is that, remember the definition which I told you in the morning, that when multiple parties are involved in executing a single transaction and there is a lack of trust between these parties, then blockchain technology is the right choice. Now let's draw the parallels here. When multiple parties, here is when multiple institutes are involved in completion of all the subjects of a student. What is a transaction? My student degree. Multiple parties, and there is a lack of trust, and we cannot trust basically whether he got A grade from XYZ institute or he got from C, because they may fudge that thing, right? When they're written on the blockchain, everything is there, right? blockchain here is the right technology. Okay. So how this, again, back to this one. So I showed you these three things, and what we are doing, we are basically offering a new model where we provide the flexibility of the students to choose of his or her liking, right? Get the best of the, from all the partners from the consortium, and then provides an opportunity for the students to do the degree from the institute where he or she really likes that, right? That's what the one here. So now how we are basically doing this. So let me this, I already told you. Now important thing here is, so this, the three problems or four problems we looked at: equal opportunity, lack of equal opportunity, lack of skill things. Then we discuss basically the digitalization and the resource, right? Because there are 15% this on that, right? So how this addresses? So equal opportunity for students. Students are free to choose any subject from the partners institute. It's an equal opportunity, right? Students get the flexibility to earn a degree from non-host institute subject to meeting all their degree criteria. And here, since the student is choosing best from everywhere, right, this improves the quality of the students, right? So, and this also creates a competition amongst the institute to build the skill center of competency. So if a institute X is there, why the institute X should basically hire all the people in all the areas. They should really focus on one or two areas where they can be known for, right? They can attract the quality teachers, right? And therefore basically they can attract more students from there, right? And the third is very important. This model creates and you will see in the architecture, creates the jobs and the opportunities for the private labs and academia. And the idea basically here is, when the labs are utilized for 15% only, why can't we basically, why can't we run these labs from 9 to 5 in different batches, so that we can hire more students, right? Give them the best education, and they are well captured by the industry, because the quality, they are getting the quality education, not from 77 to 15% employability. Now they can get basically reach to the better employability. In that, basically we can invite the private partners, where they can open the private labs. They can open basically, okay, center for AI, just educating the AI best lab where the teachers are top-notch ones, right? Just like basically, as long as we recognize them. So this creates a lot of jobs, right? And more quality workforce. And therefore, basically the quality workforce will be absorbed by the industry. Okay. And so this is the, very high level, the network that we are building, right? But let me go to the specific to this. Okay. So we have divided this project into two phases, phase 1 and phase 2. Okay. In the phase 1, what we are doing is we are building different layers. The layer of my let first this comes over here, right? So we are basically building the we are bringing basically the network of my different education providers. These are my peers, and then regulatory bodies like my AICTE or UGC, right? Who can basically look at and analyze the data, who's producing the best tutorial, which course is most popular in which institute, and so on and so forth. And also basically the student and parent portal where the students can go and register themselves, and parent can also look at the, how my son or daughter is doing. Right? Then we have this network layer where basically we are following the decentralized identifiers, right? DIDs there. And then we have the service layer, that is a data service layer, where we are providing the services about the recommendations that, hey, you have this gap, why don't you basically do this, or you are doing the currently this thing, right? Do this. And then the second phase, what we want to do, we want to basically bring these job providers, right? And so that basically they see and do the matching of what jobs that they have, and how they and who are the students basically can be qualified for that jobs, right? So then we are doing this job matching surveys. We are doing basically some demand prediction surveys, and many other things on that, right? And all these things basically we are building on the cloud using the Hyperledger Fabric, right? Where right now basically we have not in reality, but basically we have a fictitious four peers, right? And we have defined the smart contract between the institute, right, for doing the credit transfer, and the smart contract between the students and the institute, right? So that is all about the DESI project on this, right? Now, the other project that we are doing, or that we completed indeed, right, is developing a marketplace, and they say AI-driven marketplace for the micro insurance, right? What is this? So if you look at the IDC, right, this is an old slide, right? I think I have there. So if you look at the IDC, these are the ones that basically give you the forecast, and this, the usage-based insurance is increasing by 15% on year basis, right? And what is that? Let me first give you, I think, yeah, okay, here. So let's say in our country, you will be surprised. You see the Times of India, I think this article came a couple of years back, that roughly 54% two and four wheelers, right, in our country are not insured, but they are still on the road. And this is a really very dangerous situation, that people are driving the car or a scooter, they do not have insurance, right? And they are still basically on the road. And this is really very dangerous situation, right? As you know, basically that many of the folks basically when they buy the car, second hand or new, whatever, right? They get the insurance for the first year, because without that they cannot transfer or get the car registered in the office, right? And this is what we are trying to solve this problem. So first is question here is why these people are driving the car and do not have the insurance. And you will be surprised, this is the study that basically published, you will be surprised that many people, they do not believe in the insurance. they say, hey, we live in the city, or sorry, we work in the city, and there is no parking place, right? We drive that car only once in a week, just only for social get together. We are going on the weekend, right, with the family and so on, right? Some people say we are in the when we are in the we are in the village and we have a tractor or we have a thing, but we don't take this one because we are not driving this. We use it only for the local purpose, even every day, right? So the idea basically, can we develop a marketplace where these people, like the multi-million people, they can come together and buy the insurance based on the pay per use basis. That means that if you are traveling from Jaipur to Delhi and you have a, let's say, third party insurance, or you don't have a insurance, what we have done, we have developed a app where you say, I we want to go from Jaipur to this, right? And give the insurance. And I'll come to detail, I mean, not only this. So the analogy here is when you are traveling, let's say, to overseas for a week, right? You buy the insurance for that week. So if unfortunately, if something happens, then you are covered there. We take the same analogy. See, when you are on the road, right, there might be chances for accident. May not be because of your fault, maybe for someone else's fault, right? Right? Or when we are driving, we really don't know that what will happen, right? So these pay-as-you-go marketplace already exist, and like in the Scandinavian countries, some part of the US, Ireland, right? Such kind of insurance are not popular, but they are there in the marketplace, right? And people, they buy that. So what we are proposing here is, and those pay-as-you-go insurance, they are based on the, okay, we buy the insurance for 1,000 kilometers, or we buy the insurance for 1 week. So they are based on either the number of miles or the number of days. Like when you go and rent a car, right? When you go to another city, rent a car, you just buy the insurance only for those days for which basically you have rented the car. Right? So what we are proposing here is that what basically we have built an application that you say that I'm traveling from Jaipur to Agra, Jaipur to Delhi. And when you say that, and then you submit it, on this left-hand side, you have a number of insurance providers that basically offering the segment insurance for the segment basis. So when you give from Jaipur to Delhi, the insurance one, you get the quotation from the insurance provider one that it is 5 rupees 25 paisa. The another one says it is 3 rupee 57 paisa. And another one says it is 11 rupees 52 paisa. So each of them giving a quote, but they are giving also the terms and conditions. So when this guy says 11 rupee 52 paisa, they say you can travel any day, you can travel now, you can travel in peak hours, you can travel this, that, right? Absolutely fine. The guy who's giving this 3 rupee 52 paisa insurance, he puts the insurance that my days is valid if you start to travel at 10 o'clock in the morning, right? Because they analyze that 10 o'clock is in non-peak hours, roads are not that crowded and things like that, right? And this guy basically says, okay, you go and travel, you can start basically now, but you have to finish your degree by your journey by 2 p.m. right? And we are giving you a couple of hour buffer in between, right? On that. So each of them gives you the one. Now, this guy, whosoever is there, he clicks and signs a basically contract with this guy, second one who has given you 3 rupee 52 paisa. When he signs a contract, a smart contract is written on the blockchain. Okay. So now what we do in this blockchain, you have number of other parties. You have basically the transport authority, you have some policemen, right, and many others. So now, okay, I'll just go, I'll give you this one, okay? So now, this guy says basically, I want to go from Delhi to one. Everyone gives the one that their code. Then he selects the particular quotation, and then he start driving, and he gets basically take this path, take left, this right, and so on and so forth. Right now, this guy, when you're driving, he says, hey, I'm driving that. Hey, just 10 kilometers inside any town that comes between Delhi and Jaipur. Hey, my cousin lives there. Let me basically go and have a cup of coffee. So when he reroutes his car, and it is a real-time data connection, then basically to one point, whatever the threshold value is there, it can tolerate, but after it goes there, it gets the alert that you have rerouted and their insurance goes from $3.52 to basically $4.57. Right? So my point over, what I'm trying to say here is that the insurance that you have signed with the provider, you signed for a particular route. And when you divert from that route, then the insurance increases. And right, and it is, so it is a dynamic premium. And dynamic premium depends on number of things. It depends basically the rerouting, and then you start driving, then you say the road speed, let's say 80, and you see there are not too many people, great road, great weather, you start driving, you start to 100. So the speed, as you are basically increasing the speed, the chances of accident is much higher, and therefore basically insurance also increases. Right? So the insurance is a dependent on not only basically the shortest route time, this and that, but also your speed, also the weather during that, and also the rerouting. Right? And that is what basically we consider that. So the idea, so the idea basically we said here, when 54% roads, the 50% two-wheelers or the four-wheelers are on the road and they do not have the insurance, and some of them are driving only once in a while car, then why don't we basically offer this so that that guy is insured on the road when he's driving? If he has a third party insurance when he's driving, right, where he bumped his car into someone at his own fault, then he's covered there. So the question here is, and this is a legitimate question here is, what is the use of the blockchain? Absolutely. You can do this with the centralized databases. So as I said, beginning in the morning, when you are creating any marketplace, blockchain is just an alternative, right? It's not like basically that we cannot do this application development with a centralized databases or with any other technology, right? The reason basically we are using the blockchain so that basically if, I think I have, no, I don't have. If there is any dispute between the insurance provider and the insurance, that driver, this guy says that you increase the speed by 20 kilometers, and this guy says, no, I did not. One, right? Since every real-time data is being written on the blockchain, right? You can show that, look, here is the proof that you exceeded the speed. And that is why only we are using the blockchain. Else you can do without the blockchain, right? Okay. Let me see how am I doing. Okay, so we still have 15 minutes. Let me take a very important, very, very important, and indeed new blockchains are created only for the digital identity. So digital identity, as you know, is the biggest, identity is the biggest threat actually in today's digital arena. And role of blockchain here is very, very important. So let me take that, these are all statistics, right? That 60% of the individuals sharing their personal data, right, on different social media things, right? So how basically this is done? What is a personal information? So as you see on the left hand side, an individual can be recognized by combination of some of these fields, right? Uniquely can be determined, right? And each of these individuals, they carry multiple identities: your Aadhaar number, your PAN number, your driving license number, and so on. And then you are providing, individual is providing these identity to person or to the businesses, right? Your identity is that you are having a credit card number 1 2 3 4 5 6, whatever, right? You go and swipe your card, you're providing your identity. You're providing your PAN number or Aadhaar number, right, to the businesses and that. So the idea basically here is that if these businesses are not honest, they have a malicious intention. And in India, basically, so many identities businesses are selling because of whatever the reasons, right? Your emails, your phone numbers, and so on, and right, and they are making the money, but ultimately you lose your personal identity, right? So how to secure this, right? So problems with the individuals, challenges for the business, and challenges for the government, each of them are really struggling is protecting the identity of the individuals, protecting the identity of their businesses, right? Follow the compliance and regulations, and so on, right? So there is a new concept called the self-sovereignty identity. Okay. So if you go back 20 years back, or even today also, how do you authenticate yourself? How do you prove that this is me? By providing a login and password, right? So like you go to your email system every day, basically you log on to some device by providing a login and password, right? But providing a login and password, it is a centralized approach, right? That login and password is stored on the other party side. When you go, they basically authenticate with against that, and if it is fine, you log in, you are successful, you can enter into the database, else you cannot, right? And the problem with this is very hard to remember. If you have 50 accounts in many different places, remembering all 50 passwords, and each of them have a different requirements. It's not like you can have it a one password. One says it should have 8 characters long, should have a special character, should not start with a numeric, should have a small character also, should have this thing, should be a 12, should not repeat, two consecutive characters should not be repeated, and so on. So each of them has their own rules for constructing the password. So it is very hard. So what happened in the Web 2.0, when the mobile and social media became so popular, they were authenticating you with respect to other third party. So now you can log in into the application or to the Google if you have a Facebook account, right? You can check in basically using your Twitter's account, or you can sign in basically using your LinkedIn account. So this is what is called the federated identity, right? You have the identity stored on this, and we basically authenticate with respect to the other one, right? So this is the federated identity. And again here, the identity is stored, is not controlled by you, right? Authentication is controlled by basically the other third party. But this, what is happening because of the blockchain technology, that you are making this user-centric identity. And this is through the self-sovereign identity. That means basically that this is your identity, therefore you should control it. To whom you want to release and to whom you don't want to release. That's what the self-sovereign identity says that, right? So how does it work? So you have a, let's say, an application. In that applications, you have this digital wallet, right? What happens basically that you wants to use these decentralized identifiers, right? So you register those things on the blockchain. When you register, basically it issues a DIDs. When you issue the DIDs, right, then you want to, let's say basically you want to apply for the driving license, right, to the driving license office. So what you do through to this, what you do basically, you provide your DIDs and those some documents, and this peer basically goes and check on the blockchain, is it you? So peer is not maintaining that. It is basically in a very encrypted way, your identity is hidden on the blockchain. And if it is you, it basically authenticate that, right? And if it is you, basically it then verifies that and then issue the credential. It issues the driving license to you, right? And everything is on the digital one, right? So when it issues that one, it basically stores that, okay, I have issued the digital driving license digitally, right, to the DID over here, and then basically that mapping is created over here. And this is what basically that identity management, right? So there are several, there are not several, there are, I think, couple of blockchains only primarily exclusively for managing the identity, like sovereign identity and those ones, right? So these are some different use cases for how the government identity, citizen and services. So I'll give you one example. So many countries are developing this digital identity, right? So now what they say that, look, you don't need to even travel with your passport or with any hard things. You just have your digital mobile, right? You have a wallet there. You just go there, touch that, and then it goes there, verifies everything. Like you have today's, you can pay the credit card basically on your mobile, right? Now, what happens? My mobile is lost. No worries. As long as basically that is it is generally open with a thumb impression, and if it is not open, basically you can basically reinstate your digital identity on the other on the other mobile phone, whichever basically you choose that. Right? Okay, so there are different things like for the auto insurance, for the life insurance, credit cards, right? And these digital identities, they are being used today in the reality. The last, let me share with the shared know your customer. How am I doing? Okay, let's go. Shared know your customer is, let me give you uh, this motivation. So today is, we go to the bank, apply for the loan. The bank asks us, show us the paper. We basically show the paper. If all the papers bank thinks that they are genuine, they take those papers, keep them in their custody, and they sanction the loan. Very simple, right? And we should have basically the KYC done. Now we go to the bank too. Same customer goes to the bank too. Bank two basically also do the same thing. So now bank two knows that, hey, this guy is already KYC compliant, and for my new requirements we need additional things. Then they do the additional, ask for the document, and they see, hey, these documents have already been deposited to the bank one. Therefore this customer cannot produce the same document, right? So this is what basically is to reduce the fraud in the network, right? And this is particular happens, very often in many countries, that there is a landlord, there is a real estate property, and there is a bank customers, and there is a bank. So what happens basically today, that if I want to take a particular shop in a mall on a rent basis, right? The mall administration says, or landlord basically says, that you have to give us the guarantee of the bank, right? So now they say, you give us the guarantee. Now I go to the bank, right? I say, bank, hey bank, basically I want to rent this property, or I want to buy this property. I need a loan for this. And then they talk to that one, they look at the papers of that property, are they genuine or not? So each of these parties, though there are three parties, but they're talking to, on one-on-one basis. There's no network between all these three. So if we have a network with all these three parties, then there is a complete transparency that bank can see, okay, this shop or this property, whatever, has not been rented to other people, and they are on the papers which are basically deposited to us, not to anyone else, right? So this kind of things basically in the banks are getting traction, like in Singapore, few banks, Deutsche Bank of Singapore, Deutsche Bank and DBS and other banks, basically they have come together to build this kind of network. Okay, so this I'll go, and the last, but very briefly, I will say the distributed AI. And what is a distributed AI, right? I'll give you an example. So today, if you want to take a decision, right, at a centralized place, what you are doing basically, you are getting the data from here, data from here, data from here, from all these three places, and then you train that data and develop a model, right? And that is what is a centralized approach. By pooling the data, accumulating the data at a central place, train that and develop the model, right? What basically distributed, decentralized one they are doing here is that, okay, you have a data, you develop a model, you have a data, develop a model, data, develop a model. So develop the model locally, and you share the model at the centralized place. You're not sharing the data. Model is a very abstract levels. Data basically prevails the identity of the business entities. So then you just take that data, and then once you have done that, then you bring that things model sharing on the blockchain, right? So then nobody basically, that I have shared this model. So even this guy basically cannot change that, because it's written on the blockchain that this is the model that you have shared, and it is written everywhere. So therefore, this guy cannot go and fudge and change the model, right? And this is what basically we are learning in a distributed fashion, distributed and trust learning using the blockchain, so that no one can change that. A model can be used in an anonymously, right, by the other partners. And this kind of model is now they have built one network, I'm just forgetting actually, in the Europe, where the different banks basically, or different entities are using this to learn the models, like in the customer attrition or customer analysis, fraud detections, right, from the other banks. They are not sharing the data, but they are sharing the model so that they can learn good things from that model and then can incorporate that in their data, right? So they are protecting the identity of the data, but on the other hand, basically they're using the models built by others on their data, right, to improve the accuracy of their model. So with that, I'll just stop here and let's see basically if you have any questions. We have 10 minutes for questions.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mukesh. Attendees, if you have any doubt, you can write in the question and answer tab. So we'll check. Any questions on education and microservices and many other dimensions we have seen on the basis of blockchain?
Okay, if not, thank you so much once again for giving me this opportunity, right? And I wish you all the best for this successful FDP. And I hope basically by end of the FDP, you will have an idea that what applications and what particular platform of the blockchain can be used to implement your application. So
Thank you,
thank you so much.
Dr. Thank you, Dr. Mukesh. Once again, on the behalf of SKD family, I give my thankful gratitude to you, and you have given a great knowledge to all of us, and we have seen a great dimension of blockchain technologies in terms of security, in terms of education, and the curriculum. As you have mentioned, we are using very old syllabus, so we need to change the curriculum we have nowadays, and AICTE and MHRD also working on that. So definitely in future, the students will see a lot of angles of new technologies, and definitely your knowledge and your words and presentation has given a lot of angles in terms of research and basic information regarding blockchain. Thank you, Dr. Mukesh, once again.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. And thanks for giving me this opportunity. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, then. I'm just disconnected. Thanks. Bye-bye.